Welcome to Cleveland State University. I'm Lonnie Braille. Thank you for having me. Today we are going to get into the UCCs and how it relates to common law, and in particular how it relates with Moors and Moorish relations with UCC. Before I begin, I want to make an apology to the C. Kirkman Bey lineage for insinuating that C. Kirkman Bey may have been a spy for Army intelligence or for another institution, for the fact that he was military intelligence. But fact is, that doesn't really mean anything. Several brothers, that was their story. So that is what it is, and doesn't necessarily mean anything. That said, let's move on. I want to talk to you a little bit about, before I tell you about the UCC and what I've discovered with it, it's important that you know who's talking and where the conversation's coming from. For my family, I'm going to start first because from what they've told me is that this level of information that I've been giving thus far is way over their heads, and they love me, but they don't understand what the hell's going on. So this is first part for my family. What is a Moor? What is a Moorish American? Moor. To put it simply, if you just want to replace a common word, African. Moors are people with melanated skin. Moors are the first people on the planet, the first people to speak, the first people to think. Moor goes back all the way to Samaria. The clue here, well, let me give you the 4 clues of finding the key, the 5 clues to finding the key to the Moor Empire and replace it, restoring history. The first is that in Samaria, going back to the beginning, I'm gonna put this here. So, Moria. Christians do a cutoff thing with O's. And they'll change a simple letter, and you got, and there's the cutoff here, Sumeria. The first mention, I'm not going to go into this deep. I just want you to get the concept of I'm talking about Africans. And in particular, I'm talking about people who are not African American, because I want to get into nationality, and this African American is not a nationality. What is this? This is an ethnicity. What is an ethnicity versus a nationality? I want to tell you that Moorish American is a nationality. And African American is an ethnicity. Black is an ethnicity. White is an ethnicity, unless you accept it as something else. What is an ethnicity? An ethnicity is how other people see others. For example, in the United States, the people who are making the education system, they call everybody whatever they want to call them. And they're not the only ones who does it. Mexico does it, and others, and I'm going to give you an example with Chinese. In the United States, we call these people Chinese, but these people don't call themselves Chinese. They call themselves Tsongwa. You say this, Tsongwa. They're Tsongwa. I'm sorry, this is the name of the land, Tsongwa, that is often referred to as China. And in Mexico is referred to as Chino. But the people refer to themselves as Tsongwa Rin, or the people of Tsongwa. So their nationality is Tsongwa Rin, but their ethnicity is Chinese and Chino, if that makes sense. So when you get back to African American, if you see yourself like this, all right, that's fine. That's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk not as a political stance, which may be your thing. This is your politic, your political stance. It's not a nationality, it's not a religion, it's not a club, it's your political stance. But if you are claiming that you're a Moor or you're a Moorish American, and others on paperwork or otherwise are referring to you as African American, then that's your ethnicity to them. It's not what you become simply because somebody calls you something. All right. Moorish American. There's several definitions of what this means. Some feel that, or some say that Moors are from Africa, and they are not originally from America. And that the idea of Moorish American is basically the same as saying African American, because they're saying they're Moors from Africa, and now they're in America. But this isn't what the principles of African American mean, and the principles come from Noble Drew Ali. Now, Noble Drew Ali was not the first person to coin the term Moorish American. However, today, Moorish American is a term that was first coined by Noble Drew Ali as indigenous Americans. This term describes indigenous Americans, and this is the position of the Moorish American Institute. So family, when I say Moorish Americans, this includes our Kata, Christian word Choctaw, from our grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather for some of you little ones. And it covers what you know as Cherokee lineage too, from grandma, great-grandma, great-great-grandma for some of you. It encompasses others too. Moorish America is an umbrella term. Is it the original term? Is it really 10,000 years old, like people say? Of course not. That's belief stuff. But this is a term that we use because it's a nationality. And as a nationality, it's a human identifier. Ethnicity is not a human identifier. All right. Moorish American, Noble Drew Ali, Moor. Now, what's the Moorish American Institute? And I'm just going to write MAI. What's the Moorish American Institute? It's an education institution. It's a place of learning. It's a place of discourse. It's a place of argument and disagreement. If an argument can be presented to be worthy of arguing. It's like a Shaolin temple for the mind. In Shaolin, anybody's welcome. You know how to fight, you know something, come in, show us. If it's good, stay, teach us. I'm not here to what I'm about to present with the UCC to represent the Moorish American Institute. I'm not here to represent the Moorish Science Temple of America. I'm coming to you as Lonnie Braille, a law student at Cleveland State University, who's just completed a semester in contract law. All right? And before I go any further, we're going to do this the traditional way, because I'm talking to you about law. I'm going to wear the traditional headdress of a lawgiver. Now, I don't wear this all the time because it creeps people out. It's different. It's funny. You don't know what it is. I just told you, for one thing, this is the traditional headdress of a lawgiver. Family, little ones. Your grandfather, your great-grandfather, your great-great-grandfather wore one of these. It's called a fez. Contract law deals with UCC and common law. And I want to go in order here, and I don't want to get out of order because I have a strict lesson plan and a time frame here. All right, so what is the UCC? UCC means let me make that a little bit better for you. Uniform. Commercial codes. Uniform commercial codes, commerce. All right, so this deals with business transactions. The Uniform Commercial Code is to deal specifically with business transactions excuse me, that deal with the exchange of goods, the buying and selling of goods. If a transaction deals with the purchase and sale of land or services, then it falls under common law. Commerce, UCC. The UCC was formulated in 1952. Code. I need to go over what code means. Code is a systematic subject, organized collection of statutes and permanent laws. Codes consolidate, update, and repeal old laws, making legal framework for a specific topic clearer. What that means is in common law, there were several ambiguities, things that have more than one meaning. When it came to commerce, when it came to the exchange of goods, buying and selling. So in 1952, the Uniform Commercial Codes came into being. They were operational and some were formed in the 1940s, but the code didn't come into effect until 1952. All right. A code does not mean law. A code becomes law when a state adopts it. A UCC, all of the states do not follow the UCC. For example, Louisiana. Of the states that do follow the UCC, not all of them follow all of the UCC. Keep that in mind when you're trying to make a national or an international claim. The organizations that brought the UCC into life, and here you go, Moors, pay attention. This is where you really got to pay attention to law, because the law loves you as a Moor, but you have to come right, or you can run into a lot of trouble. The American Law And here we go with this word. Institute is the governing body of the UCC. Of course, the uniform, I'm leaving this here for a minute because I want you to think about that before I go back to it. The Uniform Law Commission. This is the organization that formulated the UCC, approved the UCC. This is the organization that is over it as its governing body. American Law Institute is Ali. The letter of law, as it's called in law, is called black letter law. The Bar Association I'm not going to go into what all of this stuff means. Bar, if you haven't heard of Bar Association, learn that. My lesson for you right now is what this means. This means son of in Hebrew. Hebrew is a Moorish language. Bar is son. Then there's the American Bar Association. And that is Abba, A-B-A. And that's the Arabic word for father. So here's the Father, here's the Son, here's the black, here's the Ali, over it all. All right? So I did that for you to show you that you are respected. There's a place for you in law, as you know. And we're going to get at, are we taking the right steps as Moors? Not we, not me. But as a group, are Moors taking the right step with UCC1 statements using the birth certificate as collateral to become a secure party creditor? That's what we're getting at. Law class. By Lonnie Braille, me. To answer the following two questions concerning, is the UCC a tool to claim secured party creditor using the birth certificate as collateral? Question 2, is the UCC a tool to establish nationality? Let's analyze the Moorish or Moor argument of the UCC 1 from Moor's own statements. The UCC filing statements to secure one's name or claim ownership over a straw man, a supposed legal fiction representing the person. This follows what's called the redemption theory, which is that the belief that one can redeem themselves from government control or debt by invoking UCC filings. UCC notices and correspondence used in attempts to avoid court jurisdiction, taxes, debts, or criminal penalties are those covered by UCC. So to say outright, quickly get it over with, judges have ruled nationwide, states across the nation, that UCC filings do not create sovereignty or immunity. Also, straw man and secured party creditors have no legal basis. Several adherents to sovereign doctrine, Moorish American doctrine, Moor doctrine, believe that the U.S. government operates as a corporation and that invoking commercial law via the UCC restores natural rights or original sovereignty. The appeal is often ideologic and symbolic, a form of reclaiming perceived lost autonomy rather than a legally effective tool. Now, what does that mean, a legally effective tool? Here it is simply. Uniform Commercial Code governs business transactions between a buyer and a seller. It does not govern nationality or using your birth certificate, I'll just write BC there, as collateral, because, let's break it down simply, there's no evidence that the straw man exists. It's not there. But I still need to go into the basic argument for some people who don't know. When a birth certificate is issued, the government creates a separate legal entity, the straw man, a kind of corporate fictional version of you, usually written in all capital letters. That's an entity different from you. You are the legal person, a human flesh and blood, and there's a difference in that somehow by claiming that and explaining it by this UCC that came out in 1952, that you're going to reclaim control of your birth certificate and some monies somehow attached to this. You're going to be a free person and nobody can prosecute you or anything. But here's why that theory fails. No such entity exists. No such entity exists. There's no legal or factual basis for the idea that the government creates a corporate fiction called a straw man when people are born. We'll come back to this. I'll make a note over here, straw man. The UCC has no magical effect. UCC filings do not change your citizenship, your legal status, discharge your debts, or make you immune from law enforcement or taxation. I think I'm going to make a slide of these instead of writing all of this out, but I'm going to read them out for you here. In the case of United States versus James, 2003, Seventh Circuit Court found that the Uniform Commercial Code does not support any concept of personal sovereignty. These are your findings now, coming from federal courts, and some of these are state courts. Bryant versus Washington Mutual Bank, Virginia, 2007. The straw man theory was described as a bizarre legal fiction with no conceivable validity. Bay versus State of Indiana, 7th Circuit, 2017. The 7th Circuit reaffirmed that more sovereign and secured party creditor arguments based on the UCC are legally meaningless. United States versus Banabe, 7th Circuit, 2011. The court instructed judges to summarily reject such claims as frivolous. Public findings don't create legal reality. Anyone can file a UCC-1. The system doesn't check validity at the time of filing, but that doesn't mean it has legal force. It's like filing a false deed. It's just paperwork unless valid underlying transaction supports it, which a birth certificate does not. The real purpose of the UCC-1 filings, which used in business for public record, how courts explain the difference. Two or more parties in a business transaction, for example, a borrower and a lender, one person filing a financing statement against their own name or government. What's the effect of that? The secured party priority rights in a specified collateral if the debtor defaults. None. Courts treat it as meaningless or fraudulent. It creates no rights or immunity. What this means is, if you're saying that because you have a birth certificate and your birth certificate has money on it, and you're saying to somebody else, hey, loan me money based on something that I have that's of value, And then when that deal doesn't go right, remember contracts, universal commercial codes about contracts. When that contract is breached, the aggrieved party can't recover damages because there's no actual collateral. When you file a UCC1 filing and you try to, or you not try to, but you go to prove with somebody you're going into business with or anybody else that you are a secured party creditor and you have a trust that has reasonable, realistic collateral, the only thing you have to present is the certificate document that says that a trust exists. It doesn't say what the trust material is. So with the UCC1 filing based on a birth certificate as collateral, when you go into the trust for somebody who needs to and finds out there's nothing there, that's why the next steps have been made from certain states. In Ohio, for example, the defendant filed Moorish-related UCC documents. This was 2020, recently, State versus Locke. And I'll put all of these on files for you later. An Ohio defendant filed Moorish-related UCC documents to contest criminal charges and claim immunity. The court's holding, the appellate court affirmed conviction, noting the UCC filings had no legal effect and did not deprive the court of jurisdiction. UCC Moorish identity for immunity, identity, or heritage does not equal legal exemption. Legal problem. Ohio has seen numerous UCC filings by individuals identifying as Moorish Americans or sovereign citizens, often meaning judges, police officers, or public officials, often naming judges, police officers, or public officials as debtors. Legal response? Pay attention. Ohio enacted anti-fraudulent filing laws and provided a procedure to expunge bogus liens. Ohio Revised Code 317.13b. County recorders may refuse to record UCC filings that appear fraudulent or unrelated to a legitimate commercial transaction. Ohio Revised Code 1311.52 and 2329.70 provide remedies for wrongful lien filings, allowing victims to petition the court to have the lien removed and to recover damages. For some of you Moors who just heard that, you know what I mean, that's when you put a lien on somebody's property because the police arrested you or the judge is not prosecuting, but the judge is overseeing the case. And so you put a lien on the cop's house, you put a lien on the judge's house, and then that's not legal. The paperwork gets pushed through because it just can. These people work in offices, their job's to push paperwork, they did it. All right. I'm gonna put all of these up later instead of reading them all. You see all these? This is Texas, this is Michigan. These states have enacted codes. Texas, Code 37.101 and 37106, allowing law enforcement and public officials to seek judicial relief against fraudulent UCC liens. Michigan, 565.451A and 565.451D makes it a felony to knowingly file a false lien or encumbrance against a public official without a legitimate claim, punishable by up to 4 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Key legal takeaways. Courts and legislatures across the U.S. view Moorish American or sovereign citizen UCC filings not as acts of sovereignty, but as fraudulent filings under state and federal law. Most states now allow clerks or secretaries of state to refuse, expunge, or criminally prosecute such filings. I'm going to put a slide on here of what a legitimate UCC 1 filing looks like. So you can see where collateral, how things are supposed to be placed, the reading of it, separating certain things that are mushed together here with the sovereign doctrine. I want to talk about this case a little bit right here. This is a case by a friend of mine. His name's Corey Kane, and he identified as Corey Kane Ali Bey. And I have 2 other friends, 3 maybe, we'll see, but 2 other friends who's gone through the same thing Corey went through. Put the lien on the judge's house. And then they hit him with 10 more charges, dealing with fraud, dealing with, I'm going to go into that more later too, because I don't want to stick there, but I want to tell you, I know Moors who are in prison right now for this. So I'm giving you one name because I'm sure he wouldn't mind. And it's public knowledge, and we've spoken. So his name's Corey Kane. You can look him up. You can write to him. You can find him at Ohio Offender Search. Write to him. Ask him what he did. He did everything perfect, as another Moor elder taught him, who didn't do that stuff themselves. They taught Corey to do it. Corey went and did it. Corey's now doing time. All right, Corey's not the only one. So, should these UCC filings, UCC, I don't want to write it again, UCC, my finding on Moorish Americans and sovereign citizens and anyone filing a UCC 1 to become a secured party creditor with a birth certificate as their collateral is a bad idea. And I say that because everybody's gotten in trouble for it that I know. There's no legal basis for it anymore. You have to come a different kind of way. So, that said, let's argue it another way now. Straw man versus human. If it's true that there is no straw man, then that would mean that everybody born is a human. Now, the law says that everybody who is living and breathing is human and subject to laws. I agree, subject to laws. If you're in somebody's country, if you're under you're in somebody's controlled area, you're subject to their laws. You don't get to walk around and break people's laws anywhere. You can't go to anywhere and do that. So it's a far-fetched, mysterious idea of claiming a UCC with your birth certificate as collateral, and that's somehow gonna magically make you rich. The courts do not acknowledge this. So what I want to do is I want to tell you that there is a difference between a human and does a straw man exist? I can't say that because it's not in law. But in law, there is a difference in human status. A subject, which is what a United States citizen is not human. Whites are subjects and United States citizens. Whites are not humans either. Blacks are not human. I won't go into this a lot with you right now because that's not the purpose of this class, and I've already done that several times before. And excuse me a second. If you are not aware, this is the book you need right here that explains nationality. This is all you need to explain nationality. I published this in 2021. It explains how there's levels of citizens. Levels, I'm going to write this, of citizens. And there's 5 of them. And only the first 2 are human, recognized as human with rights, because laws are for humans. The first one is nationals. Nationals are a nation's indigenous people. The second is naturals. These are nationals from another country who come into another nation. They become naturals. All right? The other 3 are not human, and they're found in this book. I don't have a lot of time with this class here, so I want to get to the next thing. UCC, you want to claim and establish your nationality, you're going to go back to Noble Drew Ali in 1913, way before the UCC of 1952. Noble Drew Ali provided a way, a lawful way, to establish nationality under the term Moorish American as an umbrella term to describe all of us in America who are indigenous American. Now, what gets in the way of that? Well, you got other people with other stories, right? So there were Moors first, right? And the Moors are the humans. Because if we got monkeys, people came from monkeys, or some people came from monkeys, and mixing of humans, then these are the humans. And when we'll say new people, as some group of Moors likes to say, these are what you call the cave people. Some people say they really don't know how they got here, where they came from, but they came out of the caves, and that's generally accepted now. All right, so the new people and the cave people, and then you got the humans. The new people mixed with the humans. How did it happen? Yeah, let's do that real quick. According to the Moorish story, according to the Moorish American Institute, coming from Noble Drew Ali by way of Charles Moseley Bay. He was sent to Cleveland to teach more science by Noble Drew Ali. So according to Charles Moseley Bay, there were 3 groups of Moors who wanted to do different things with the new people. The new people were a problem. The new people multiplied fast. The new people were dirty. The new people didn't speak. They had to learn all of these things because they were part animal. They were part human. At a certain point in their evolution, which is somewhere between Cro-Magnon and Homo epithecus, they were either an animal-like man or a man-like animal. It's not clear. But evolution is not something that Moors went through. Moors were always human. Moors could always speak. Moors could always think. Moors always had a culture. When new people came on board, the first group of Moors, their solution was to educate. Educate the new people. Bring them into the folds of us as Moors. Accept them as family. They had genetic weaknesses in their blood, so the idea was to mix with them sexually and mix out that genetic defect. The second group of Moors, their decision to do with the new people was to make them war. So nobody else has to. Make them combatants, and it's kind of like virtual reality. They may have thought, I'll send my fighter against your fighter, and we'll decide the conflict or contest that way. The third group of Moors, and these are the ones who call themselves Moors and spell it with 2 U's, and they say that they're the ones, Moors. No, these are the ones who say they're the ones who wanted to educate. Another group of Moors wanted to war. Let me do this. Let me make this 2 so we're clear on that. And the third group of Moors their solution was to kill the new people, all of them. Exterminate them, eradicate them, destroy them utterly from the face of the earth as an abomination. Now, the group of Moors who have this 2 U's thing, how do they explain this? You join them and then they go, yeah, you're one of the ones who spiritually you came to us and you didn't want to kill or you wanted to educate. You're a good Moor. That's a hellified statement to make. I don't know how they justify that with anything rational. That's more of a spiritual thing, a religious thing. But these are the 3 arguments. For me at this point, I've always been with educate. I mean, look at me. My mom's Irish. If I was gonna go with any one of these, I would be the one going out doing it, because I don't look like the original people. Most of us don't. So here we are in this situation where I've given this UCC lesson. Law school, law class, lost this semester. As I've told you, did kick my ass. It picked my brain in ways that it hasn't been picked before. I was challenged. I was thrilled to be among so many intelligent people. My class had about 80, 90 people in it. And at times, a couple classes, I got to be in there with more than a couple hundred people. And the room filled with everybody's basically an honor student. It was fantastic. I hadn't got that before. I really enjoyed being around so many intelligent people. That said, I need to separate Lonnie the headmaster from Lonnie of Lonnie's show. The UCC stuff I know that I'm making a wave here with what I've presented. It's not what people want to hear. I don't care. You're going to get yourself in trouble if you follow some of these idiots. And when I say idiots, not the people who are following this stuff, but the people who are teaching it and letting others go out like they're lackeys and see what happens. It's like back in the 80s, I remember the hackers. They won't hack stuff themselves that they think's too dangerous, but they'll let you get into their club and make you go through all this novice stuff, new guy stuff, and then you learn something about hacking, and then they teach you, you go hack this thing, and this is how you do it, and then they see if it works. Don't let somebody find out what happens to them through your life, through you ending up in a penitentiary. you don't have to be there. So, classes like this from now on, lessons like this from now on, are going to go to the Moorish American Institute channel on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. And Lonnie's show is going to be Lonnie's show. I'm Lonnie. Lonnie's show began with my father. He's a band leader and a lead singer. He did a 7-state circuit that started out in New Mexico, went through Texas, Tennessee, Colorado for, 30-something years. And on the back of his van, the leather cover for the spare tire said Lonnie's show. And when I was a little boy, when I would get to go to the clubs with him, they would make me go to sleep early. I'd wake up and go to the clubs, and as we're driving up, I would see my name in lights because my father has the same name. It was always, Lonnie's show, Lonnie's show, Lonnie and Lonnie's band, Lonnie Bray and his mule kickers, Lonnie Bray and his supermen. Family. Dad didn't tell you a lot of things because Uncle Lonnie was just a fun-loving, easygoing, wanting to have fun kind of man in this life. But the things you don't know is that for whoever this is to you, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, Marvin Young Bray L., he had the L title before I did. He didn't give it to y'all because you wouldn't listen. But for generations, our family has named the male heirs with particular names that come from the Bible or mean something powerful in some kind of way, and then we would get called a nickname. So Lonnie comes from Alonso. My father is Lonnie too. His father is Marvin. Marvin means Morwin. His father is Buchanan. Buchanan is a Moor empire, or Cannon is a Moor empire, and Buchanan means of Cannon. His father was Lamar. Lamar means the Moor. And I'm going to stop with my family lineage there, but I want y'all to know that. You're connected here. You're connected to law. You should know law. You should know your place in law, but you should not listen to people who have no law knowledge. They're copying and pasting from the internet. They're creating bogus documents, and they're either getting you in trouble or they're getting in trouble themselves with it. Don't let that happen to you. Get into a law class yourself if you can. I mean, it's not easy. I had to go to school for a while. I had to get a college degree with honors before I could get in law school. So I don't know how easy that is for me to say to other people to do. If that's not an opportunity to you, you can still learn law. You can still learn law. There's avenues online where you can go through classes without having to go through formal registering at a college or university. That's what you need to do if you want to put your stamp of approval on something that's going to be a document that you're giving to somebody glued to your life. If you don't do that and take responsibility for yourself, then you're in trouble. All right, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.